What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and telling me what you think about this Navy and Memphis game, and what do you think Navy's chances are of making the American Championship game, and just how disappointing this season has turned out to be for Memphis, who looked to me like the best team in the entire conference to start the season, only to take 4 losses all in conference play. They finished 4-4 in conference play. And with this loss, they don't get to their 10-win season. Ryan Silverfield has been a name that I have mentioned and others have for Power 5 jobs to come up. Might not happen this cycle, but there being 9 open jobs, it still could happen, especially with Arkansas still looking for their guy. Florida still looking for their guy. We keep going down the line. But what this means for the American right now is North Texas wins their game against Temple, and Tulane wins their game against Charlotte. Those will be the 2 teams that play in the American Conference Championship game. And we expect that team that wins that championship will end the year as the highest ranked Group of 5 champion in the College Football Playoff Selection Committee's rankings. We're basing this on them ranking Tulane at number 24. I don't think that either of those teams alone should be ranked. I think both of those teams should be ranked. I think North Texas is a better football team. Eric Morris's Mean Green is 10-1. It's their 3rd 10-win season at North Texas in history, first since 1977. If they win number 11 on Saturday, it'll be their first 11-win season in school history, and they'll play for a conference championship. He is already signed a contract to become the next head coach at Oklahoma State. Maybe Drew Mestemaker goes with him, and that high-flying arm gets to continue doing what they're doing. But I thought this was a really important and good statement for Navy if we see some measure of chaos going into Friday and Saturday's games this week. I mean, it's a 9-win Navy who has an opportunity to win 10 games regardless, right? They're going to play Army at the end of the season. We know how huge that game is each and every year, but it also is a Navy that could still backdoor into the conference championship. And if they do, they have an opportunity to perhaps win that game and get to the college football playoff that way. However, with James Madison having just 1 loss and its only loss being out of conference to Louisville, feels like they're the next team up. It's the Sun Belt champ and has a 1-loss champion. I think it would be them or North Texas for me. I think North Texas is a better football team, but James Madison has a really great resume. It's also one of the reasons I want to extend this thing to 24 teams. I understand that there's some pushback on this, but at least in the bracket that has been proposed and the one that I have been doing some projections on for the past few weeks at Fox Sports, you're looking at the 4 best teams in each of the Power 4 conferences, according to the standings, getting in the college football playoff. And then you get 2 Group of 5 selections, not just 1. And this would be a year in which I'd like to see both of those teams get in. I'm not saying that either one of those teams is going to win the national championship, but I do think everybody should have the same opportunity to get their asses beat by Ohio State. And that's how I used to feel about Bama when Nick Saban was there. But again, an outstanding performance by this Navy team who came out running the ball and running it very well against Memphis in the second half, almost stymied Memphis. And then Memphis just couldn't have things go right for them in their final home game. It kind of sucks because I thought it was a good football team that just could not get out of its own way here in the last 3 weeks. I mean, that's 3 consecutive losses for this team after just 1 loss through their first 8 games of the season. The first one coming against UAB, which kind of felt like a fluke. And then they get back on the good foot against South Florida, who was ranked at the time, only to lose to Tulane, East Carolina, and Navy to finish the season. So not the season that they wanted to have for certain. But one of the other things I think is interesting about Navy is they're fun to watch now, like in a way that the casual fan can watch them. I think most hardcore football fans like watching Navy, like watching Army, like watching Air Force, because we like to see the battle in the trenches. If you are a fan of the 9-6 game of 2011 between LSU and Bama, you love watching Service Academy football because it's all, did you win at the point of attack and can you run the football? It's a tough and physical game that we like to see our service academies play because those are also the men and women who end up defending us. And it makes us all feel good. But Blake Horvath should be on the short list for guys that should be included in the Heisman, but will not be because, well, plays at Navy. But the stats are the stats. I mean, back-to-back seasons of over 1,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing. Can have 2 10-win seasons in back-to-back years. That puts him on the short list of the most successful quarterbacks in Navy history, up there with Roger Staubach, among others, which I think is pretty cool. But that's where we stand right now in the American. And I think that's going to be a conversation we continue to have as we see what John Summerall and Tulane have in store, what Eric Morris and UNT have in store. John Summerall, who could be coaching in his 4th consecutive championship game, and the man has only been a head coach for 4 years. So to be head coach there is to play for a championship, or for him to be your head coach is for you to play for a championship. That might be one of the reasons that he's getting really good looks from Florida and was getting one from LSU. Of course, he put his name out of the Florida running. But I think if Lane Kiffin has the audacity to leave Ole Miss, which is what I really want to talk about in this segment, he's going to do that. But before we do talk about that and see what other people, including people that got my job, had to say about where they think Lane Kiffin is going to go and what we expect to happen if, when, how they beat Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, I would be remiss if I did not point out that we are sponsored in this segment by MyBookie, who has made it really easy for you to place a bet, make a wager by simply using my promo code, right? And the reason I say it's simple by using my promo code is they're basically letting you make 2 bets at once, okay? So if you want to bet the spread against Texas and Texas A&M, which is the huge game on Black Friday, you can do that. You can do player props. You can do in-game lines. And if you lose your bet, they will cover you up to $500 with the bet back bonus token if you use the promo code that is my name, RJ Young, all one word. So see if you can't go win a little bit if that's what you're looking to do. I mean, there's a lot of games that I think are interesting, not just A&M and Texas, but of course, Ohio State and Michigan. It's rivalry weekend. And anytime we got rivalry weekend, everybody's going to be involved. And I hope you will be too. Rivalry weekend is going to be D-Day for Lane Kiffin, which I think is funny. So Lane Kiffin was given an ultimatum, or he wasn't, depending on who you want to believe. Reporters with chops reported Keith Carter gave him an ultimatum saying, look, we need to know by the Egg Bowl if you're going to be the head coach at Ole Miss, or we need to go looking for another head coach. And I think that was fair, because the way that Lane Kiffin has handled this is the way that Lane Kiffin has handled everything related to his job badly. Tennessee, USC, the Raiders, Florida, I guess Florida Atlantic is fine, right? Now, Ole Miss, he can't just come out and say, I'm the head coach at Ole Miss and I want to be here. He's got to say, I met my wife in Florida, and then you got to see that his family flew to Baton Rouge, his family flew to Florida. His ex-wife was on the plane to Baton Rouge, which I think is why so many other people are interested in him being the guy there. But I think that for Keith Carter to ask, damn, dog, do you want to keep this job or not, is fair. Now that we know LSU is prepared to offer him up to $100 million. Same thing with Florida. And many people would tell you that they think that LSU is the leader in the clubhouse for this. And I'm not going to disagree with them, except to say I think it's more like Ole Miss is going to wait for you to turn them down, because I don't think Ole Miss is going to do him dirty. I think they're going to make a commiserate offer. I think, a comparable offer. And if they're going to make a comparable offer, I don't see why you would leave. Like that's the issue with me. But the decision that he's got to make is interesting for a number of reasons, but not the least of which is Ole Miss can play for a national championship this year. And while I don't think that Keith Carter was going to hit the nuke go button of saying, okay, if you're going to be head coach at LSU, Florida, or even Penn State, wherever, that you're not going to be able to coach this team through the rest of the playoffs, I think that'd be stupid, because landscape, win the national championship. If he doesn't want to be your head coach next year, that's fine. I mean, it'd basically be Jim Harbaugh for Michigan. It's win the national championship, do whatever you want. And I think every Ole Miss fan would be okay with that. I think all the players would stay on board with that. And more importantly, if you fire the guy, you open the portal for all of these players 30 days before the damn portal is supposed to open anyway. Let's not do that, right? If he's going to take players with him, at least wait until you can get some players back in return, as opposed to just letting him walk out the door with guys like Trinidad Chambliss, Austin Simmons, among others. But Bregman Murphy succeeded in doing what I think is a very interesting survey. He asked 80 people who he deemed knowledgeable and influential in college football media what their prediction would be for where Lane Kiffin would be coaching in 2026. And the votes came in like this. 80 people, 59 said LSU, 17 said Ole Miss, 5 said Florida, 2 said the Tennessee Titans, 1 said Alabama, and 1 said no clue. I thought it was more interesting to find out who the outliers were as opposed to like the people that picked LSU, Ole Miss, or Florida. But then again, I see the governor of Mississippi is one of the names that's listed here. And of course, he's voting for Ole Miss, which I thought was funny. And that's succeeding in getting that name and getting that vote of confidence is also important. I'm also interested in all the guys that believe that he's going to go to LSU. And I'm not there. I mean, I'm not there. I was not asked to vote in this poll, and I should say that. I would pick Ole Miss. And the reason that I would pick Ole Miss is because I've seen what kind of a dumpster fire awaits me at this place called LSU right now. It used to be, actually before Brian Kelly got fired, I would even say after Brian Kelly got fired in the first like 24 hours, it's one of the best jobs in the country. I'd say it's even number 2, right? You're going to get the players you need. They're going to give you time to build out what you want, and you're probably going to win a national championship if you can love LSU like they love you. Nick Saban won there. Les Miles won there. Ed Orgeron won there. All in the 21st century. All 3 guys, totally different. Different ways of doing business, different ways of getting down, different relationships with the media, different relationships with donors. But it is the job that suits all flavors, because at the bottom line for LSU is they want to win. And if they don't care how it looks as long as you win, which is why they're willing to gamble on Lane Kiffin, who has as much Mike Leach and Steve Spurrier in him as any guy coaching today, right? Gets the bias from Coach Spurrier, wanted to be like Coach Spurrier. And since Coach Leach has passed, it's Lane telling most of the jokes, right? And that's why people are laughing. It's one of the things that I think makes him beloved at Ole Miss. But at LSU, we're laughing for all the wrong reasons. Jeff Landry, the governor, steps in, says, hey, we're not going to let Scott Woodward, the athletic director at LSU at the time, make the next hire. Scott Woodward takes his leave. Now they're without a president because they already had an interim in. They're without an athletic director, without a head coach. All when you have this guy told the LSU board of supervisors, hey, not only do I not want this guy to make the head coach, let's try to stiff Brian Kelly on his money. So the buyout clause is there for this reason. If you fire the coach without cause, you have to pay him out according to this buyout. And without cause doesn't mean 3-4 in a football season. They tried to make that float. They tried to stop this man from picking up the money that he would earn because they fired him. I think a lot of this, they didn't want to pay it out. And I don't know what the financials might look like as you're trying to also lure another guy for $100 million. So think of it as 154 that you got to cover. Maybe you don't have to cover the entirety of the $54 million to Brian Kelly if he gets another job. But right now, you're on the hook for it. It's on your books. And I'm sure they're going to be watching Brian Kelly snap, his Instagram stories, his Strava account to make sure that he is making good faith efforts to try to get another job so they don't have to pay this out over the next 6 years while they hope to lure in the guy that they think they want now in Lane Kiffin. So all of that to one side, then you got to pay players, and they're going, we're going to already commit to $25 million that we are willing to put into the budget. I'm going, that's good this year. Is that good enough next year? Because remember, Ohio State was able to win the national championship on about $20 million. At the time, thought it was an astronomical number. Texas Tech has since blown that out of the water, and others will too. This number is going to continue to go up because the price of good player will go up. Why? Because a player will demand this much, and there is a donor with some money that will look at it as write-off, go, I'll pay him that much. This is how Nico Iamaleava becomes an overpaid quarterback at Tennessee, and this is before we have revenue sharing even come online. Darren Mensah getting $8 million this year and next year to be quarterback at Duke, right? Like, what are you willing to pay an outstanding edge rusher to come to LSU, or a quarterback or wide receiver? These are all things that I would want to take into account. Meanwhile, you already have the infrastructure not just in place at Ole Miss, but that understands you and understands your needs. You're in basically year 3 of figuring this thing out, and year 1 of figuring out revenue sharing. Do you really want to do that with new people? Because I tell people all the time, it is true that the grass always looks greener in somebody else's yard, but all yards got to be cut. All yards got to be maintained. All yards have to meet the homeowners association code, right? If you don't already have relationships in place that can make that stick, it's going to be difficult for everybody to get on the same page, right? It's like moving into a new neighborhood. Usually takes you about a year to acclimate. And that's even after you get everything in the house and most of it unboxed. And most people don't unbox everything they get. Lane Kiffin has also made a habit of being a nomad as a coach. The rehabilitation clinic at Nick Saban did him well, but even that, he probably shouldn't have been the OC there just as long as he was, but not on those terms. And by not on those terms, I mean, when you got an OC that feels comfortable calling plays that you ain't running practice, it's time for him to go. Lane Kiffin did that against Washington in a college football playoff game. That is why he got fired. That is why Steve Sarkisian got elevated up, ultimately becomes the head coach of Texas, because it went the way that it was supposed to. The job came up that was perfect and doesn't come up all that much, and he goes and take it. Same thing happened with Kirby Smart at Georgia. Lane Kiffin had an opportunity to do that. I'm not sure where that would have been, but he gets to Ole Miss by way of Florida Atlantic. Did he always want to go to LSU? I think at some point, because he was going to be an offensive coordinator there before he got the chance to be a head coach at Florida Atlantic. Now you get to be the offensive coordinator, head coach. Maybe that's your dream. I would think that your dream would be the head coach at Florida, and this would be slam dunk if you want to be like Coach Spurrier, and if Florida means this much to your wife and your family. But it doesn't seem to be that cut and dry. All that around the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State is not a nothing in the Egg Bowl. As a matter of fact, they're a 7.5 point dog going into this game. It's not insurmountable, and it isn't out of the question they can win this game. So if they win this game, is Lane Kiffin really going to just stay at Ole Miss, or is he still willing to go, I'm out the door to LSU? Because that team could still make the college football playoff, might not as a 10-win team, but as an 11-win team, definitely going to happen. These are things that I think are very interesting and worth watching, as it denotes what we're expecting from tomorrow's game, which kind of leads me into the last segment that I wanted to do tonight. And that is, are we thinking too much of the Aggies, or are we thinking too little of Texas, or vice versa? And I really want to unpack that, because as we're getting in this game, it's going to be played on Black Friday. It's going to be the biggest game on Friday night. I'm very excited about it. I'm more interested in what you think about this. So if you're in the comments, tell me about it, and let's see what you got. And if you got something interesting, we'll talk about it. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you're new to the show, consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Texas is going to beat A&M? This is not a game that I think is a slam dunk for A&M at all. One, it ain't at Kyle Field. It's at DKR. Two, they're the same football team, like statistically and with the same level of talent. If you look at Marcel Reed and Arch Manning in a side-by-side, it's impossible to tell which one of those guys is Arch Manning and which one of those guys is Marcel Reed, because the stats look almost exactly the same. And that's where I'm coming from with this. So Marcel Reed averages 250 yards passing a game, completes 62% of his passes. That's thrown 25 passing TDs to 8 INTs. Arch Manning, by comparison, has thrown for 251 yards per game, completed 62% of his passes, thrown for 23 TDs, and 7 interceptions. It's the same. Both of those guys are more than capable with their legs to go make it happen. Both of those guys are tremendously talented with their arms, and both of those guys are erratic. Like Marcel Reed tried to throw 6 interceptions in a game against South Carolina, where he also threw for 439 yards, including 9 of 12 for 203 in the third quarter alone. Like, they're streaky like that. So if you cancel out the quarterbacks, what's your rushing attack looking like? Well, Reuben Owens is really good at breaking off a little something on defense. He's a home run hitter, but he's only averaging 57 yards rushing per game because they only get 10 attempts. I think if it's your bell cow back, it might be a little bit different. It might be a lot like Willie Brown at Arizona State, who last time out had 258 yards on the ground. Quintravion Wisner, though, for Texas, has not had the season that he had last year. As a matter of fact, he is down quite a bit in his 2025 production compared to 2024. So 2024, he rushed for 863 yards in the regular season, right? Through 11 games this season, he's rushed for just 442. Now, he's also down about 60 carries, which I think could matter, but he averaged 4.9 yards per carry last year, and he's averaging 3.9. All this to say that the run game for Texas is not what it was last year, this year. Some of that's the offensive line, some of that's the running back room, but Wisner and CJ Baxter, I thought, could be one of the two best tandems in all of the sport, and they just haven't been that. Receiving, it's Casey Concepcion and Ryan Wingo, right? Because Casey Concepcion has been great, 75 yards per game. Ryan Wingo has been great in the second half with 67 yards per game, but he can take the top off the defense if he wants to. Averaging, I think, something like 46 yards per reception. So he's just been doing that. All while we're also seeing people continue to kick the ball to Ryan Niblett. And I'm telling you, we don't have a Devin Hester in our sport. We don't have a Dante Hall in our sport. But he and Bakari Swain at South Carolina as close as it gets. Punting the ball to him is just bad business. Don't kick him the ball. Don't punt him the ball. Don't do it in kickoff. Don't punt him. Because he has an opportunity to make up for your running game by just taking one back to the house or just flipping the field. If you've got that kind of guy, you're 100% going to have a chance in every game you play. But then Jeff Banks can get caught off guard with an onside kick from Georgia. So there's what it is. I'm looking at the comments now. I'm going to look at what Jonathan Reed missed a few games. Dog, are we doing that? Are we doing that? Are we still doing the thing where we say somebody's stats should be higher because they didn't play enough football? Because if that's the thing we're doing, I'm gonna treat you like you're not smart because you're trying to treat us like we're not smart. We gonna talk about garbage time? We're not gonna talk about garbage time. You're the person that's gonna bring up to me that he missed the last 3 quarters of the Sanford game. That's your argument for averages? Get out of my face. Get out of my face. Somebody about to be in timeout. Don't give me no stupid comments like that. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Treat us all like we're smart. Oh yeah, Julian Sayin would throw for 1,000,000 yards if he played every snap. I know. You know. What are we doing here? A&M has also been pretty damn good scoring the ball. 38 points per game to Texas just 30, right? Scoring defense is going to play a tremendous role in this game. Mike Elko's got outstanding pass rusher and Cassius Howell, who is probably going to end the season as the SEC's sack leader, and I think as the Power 4 sack leader as well. They're giving up just 21 and a half points per game, while Texas is giving up 20. For me, it's as simple as who can put a lid on the rushing attack of either team, right? If you can stop Marcel Reed from doing what he wants and Ruben Owens from doing what he wants, probably going to win. It sounds simple, but it's not. It's not as simple to stop these guys just turning your broken play into recess. Arch has shown he can do that. The thing that I think is helpful to A&M, though, is that Arch has also shown that you can confuse him in post-snap. So if Mike Elko's got something nasty for a post-snap in passing situations, you might also be able to get some takeaways because Arch sees it about as cleanly as Marcel Reed did last year. That's being unfair to Arch. He sees it better. Marcel Reed was bad last year. Matter of fact, my one hope for Marcel Reed going into this year was that he would learn to throw the football to his people and not other people and to complete his passes at a high percentage. And he's definitely done that. He is a Heisman candidate. Can he win the Heisman in this game? Probably not. Probably have to be the SEC championship game, but we're all going to watch it. And it being a Black Friday game, it's going to carry a lot of weight. And being the big Black Friday game, it also means it's going to carry a lot of weight. Defensively, if you're Mike Elko, you're also watching every bit of the Georgia film. Kirby Smart has Steve Sarkisian nailed. He dead to rights. Just got him. So if you can simulate the same sort of pressures and you can stop the run against them, it's it's cancel Christmas because Steve Sarkisian's offense just will not work. And I think that's going to be agonizing for him. So to end this, is ampersand U going to revert back to being ampersand U, or is it going to be the Texas A&M Aggies? Because the Texas A&M Aggies won a championship in the 20th century. The ampersand U ain't done a damn thing. Still hasn't done a damn thing. Oh, and winning 11 games in a row, that's great. But what championships do you have to show for it is what we're all going to ask. Ask Indiana how that feels. To go to go 11-2 and have just that to show for it. Trip to the college football playoff notwithstanding, right? A&M's first trip to the college football playoff, probably, signed, sealed, and delivered. But if that's all you want to do, then yeah, Texas is probably going to run over you. If you got higher aspirations, then you need to treat this game as a statement game. You need to stomp out Texas, and you need to show it in front of everybody in this national TV audience that you're not just here to be good. You are here to win championships. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Adapt and Respond. We will see y'all tomorrow, Black Friday, covering the games. Saturday, all day, and then win the championship week. Deuces.